I'll say if you want to make money, right, and you have an intention, a vibration, a frequency, you send that out there, the universe doesn't bring you the money, but what the universe brings you.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Passive Road to Retirement podcast. I'm very excited about today's guest. My crystal ball is telling me you're going to want to get a pad of paper and a pen. That's what I usually do when I listen to podcast shows. And I pick up some tidbits of information and some golden nuggets, as we call it. However, today, I don't think we're going to be getting golden nuggets. I see golden bars of information in our future here. So looking forward to it. So let me welcome our guest today, Trevor McGregor. He is a Master Platinum Peak Performance Coach and a full-time real estate investor. Trevor, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Well, what a kind introduction, and thanks for having me, Andrew. How are you?
Oh, great. Excellent. How about yourself?
I'm having a great day. Lots of coaching clients and got a real estate deal that I'm cooking up. So things are going to be very, very busy moving into the final part of the week here.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, Trevor, for those who don't know who you are, if you could just give us a brief background, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. Well, thanks very much. Again, the name is Coach Trevor McGregor. I am a real estate investor, but I'm also a Master Platinum life coach, business coach, and real estate coach. In fact, my story goes back a number of years, and I think you're pretty familiar with it. But for the listeners, I grew up in Vancouver, Canada. Literally, wanted to become an NHL hockey player. I love to play hockey, and that's every Canadian's dream, but it didn't pan out because I just wasn't big enough, Andy. So I went on to university, studied business, went to work in corporate, and literally through my, mid to late 20s, I did what most people do. You go and you get a corporate gig, you get married, you have kids, and I thought that was what life was really all about until one day when, my partners in the business, they said, Trevor, you've grown through the ranks here. You're really good with people. You're really good with systems. We'd like you to invest in the organization with our expansion plan. And I thought, wow, this is a great chance for me to, put some money into this thing, grow it, and maybe retire rich and young. And so that's what I did, Andy. I put all of my savings into this expansion with this corporation. I literally cashed in all my 401ks. I even convinced my own parents to take out a second mortgage, a 6-figure mortgage on the family home. And I shoved all of that into this expansion plan. And for the first year and a half, it went really, really well. But then in around 2001, right around those time that those planes hit the towers in New York, we were expanding so fast. We were in 5 major cities in Canada. And literally, to make a long story short, it all imploded and went upside down. And I lost all of that money that I put into that expansion. Wow. So it was a crazy time. And there I was, broke. That caused a strain on my marriage, and that also caused me to gain about 20, 25 pounds. Sure. And so what do you do when, you're down and out? Well, you seek guidance. And thank God for me, I found a coach. And that coach said to me, Trevor, it's really unfortunate what's happened to you, but you're still a young man. You're married, you got 2 beautiful kids. Have you thought about how you're going to, get up, dust yourself off and keep moving forward? And I said to him, I have no idea. And then he said one thing to me that changed my life forever. He said, have you ever thought of investing in real estate? I said, real estate? I don't know anything about real estate. And he said, well, you can use other people's money, go out there and buy properties, fix them up, refinance them or sell them and just keep doing that. And Andy, my back was up against the wall. I really didn't have any choice. So I followed what this coach laid out for me and, started to buy townhouses, condos, duplexes, fourplexes. And in a relatively short amount of time, not only did I, go out there and refi those, but I started to buy even more and more and more property where in just 2.5 years, not only did I have a beautiful cash flowing portfolio, but I paid back all of those failed loans, including my parents.
That's incredible.
And that's when I really, really, really felt that real estate was one of the greatest wealth vehicles on the planet. And I literally started to teach other people how to go out there and do what I was doing. So I know it's a long story, but that's really how it all began.
That's incredible. Especially 2.5 years is a very quick time frame to pay pay your parents back, get out of debt, and just be, moving forward. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Mhm. Great. Now, so Trevor, you got a lot going on. Obviously, a lot of people you're coaching. What is one thing that you're most excited about right now? And on the other token, what keeps you up at night?
Well, those are two great questions. I think what I'm most excited about is I've taken my skill set, from my corporate background, my real estate background, and maybe the listeners also might not know that I went from that moment and I ended up becoming a coach for Tony Robbins, right? And if you know Tony Robbins, he's been doing his good work on the planet for, 60 years now. And I literally became one of his top coaches and started to work with millionaires and billionaires and real estate investors. And so as I literally kept growing my own real estate portfolio, I started to coach people all over this beautiful blue planet. I got really excited about, what allows people to go out there and achieve phenomenal levels of success, on their path to passive retirement or passive income that can lead to retirement and freedom and all those things. And how can I keep it going for myself? So the more that I, did more real estate deals and I did more coaching, and I do a ton of coaching. I've got, clients all over the US, Canada, the UK, Australia, Singapore, New Zealand. I mean, it's really, really fun to coach real estate people all over the planet. I'm most excited now when I see them have a breakthrough, when I see them transform, when I see them, really get their heads around, maybe leaving a W-2 job, really either actively or passively using real estate to, fund their goals, their lifestyle, and give them freedom. So that's what excites me. What keeps me up at night is people that really don't realize that it's available to anyone out there. I mean, I know you've achieved a phenomenal level of success, because you've done the right things in the right order at the right time for the right reasons. So for anyone else that wants to really, go out there and create impact, income, and freedom, like I said, real estate is one of the best ways to do it.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Those are some keywords there: transformation, impact, freedom. I think everyone's striving for that. No doubt about it. So you've certainly changed my life in the short time we've worked together, and I'm very very grateful for that, and looking forward to working with you, more. So
well, congratulations! I'll stack on that you have been, wide-eyed and bushy-tailed to not only learn some of the stuff we've been going through, but you've been applying it. Right. And I'm telling you, success leaves clues. The more you do what you're doing and the more you transfer that to other investors, other guests from the podcast, even, people, near and dear to your heart in Florida, you are going to absolutely create inspiration for other people to go out there and follow in your footsteps. And that's exciting for me as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So it sounds like you've had a lot of struggles, in life with everything going on. What was your main fork in the road, or what was the major life-changing decision that you took that kind of established yourself and set you up for success?
Well, it's a great question. And I think that, obviously when I, lost all that money, that was definitely one of those turning points.
Sure.
But the other one was when I was working with my own Tony Robbins coach at the time. And he said, Trevor, you're so passionate about real estate. You're so passionate about people. Tony's looking to grow his, his business division of coaching. Would you ever think of, coming in and throwing in a resume? And I said, well, I don't have any formal coach training. I don't know how to do it. And he said, well, we will give you all of the methodologies and the tools and the strategies and the systems, and then you can really help people from there. So it was a turning point where I either decided to say no thank you to it, or Andy, I decided to throw my resume in, and that's exactly what I did. And at the time, there were over 500 resumes for 20 positions.
Wow.
So get your head around that, 500. And I literally got shortlisted from 500 down to 250, 250 down to 100, 100 down to 50. And even when you get to that level, you don't just become a coach for Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
I had to go to all the events. I had to read all the books. I had to listen to all the audios. I had to travel to places like Orlando, Florida, and get in front of Tony's team to do what we call the coaching practicum. But I'm proud to say that when the dust settled, I made it, through to the top 10. And that's when they offered me a full-time position with the man, the myth, the legend, Tony Robbins himself. And I went to work on for Tony for over half a decade. And that in itself was a huge turning point in my life, because I saw that I could use what I knew and, take what Tony knows, put them together and literally help, thousands and thousands of people live their best life. And, that's one of the things that is probably the most proud is I've seen people just absolutely go out there and apply what, you and I have talked about for many, many of our coaching calls. And just, the level of progress and the level of achievement that I've seen a lot of people do has been just extraordinary.
That's incredible. Yeah, working with Tony Robbins must be the mindset you get from that, I'm sure, is just incredible. So
truly.
That's awesome. Now, a lot of investors obviously in the space, and I know you have done some passive investments on your own. What would be what would be your top strategy, I guess, for someone who wants to create passive income for themselves?
Great question. And I think, after doing 25,000 coaching sessions with real estate investors, after me being an active investor, me being a passive investor, investing in, everything from multifamily apartment buildings, because I've invested all over Texas and, Florida, the Carolinas, Tennessee, Colorado. I mean, I've really been able to take a look and participate passively in many different markets. And Andy, I've been able to invest with many different groups of people, many different, groups where they've just got tremendous partnerships that have come in and learned the fundamentals of real estate investing and, how to preserve capital and how to really, manage the asset properly and how to really make the bottom line look good. So I think that perspective, if I was to share it with the listener is, not all syndicators are created equal, right? Not all property groups are created equal, that you really want to do your due diligence and find somebody who's already doing what it is that is the end game. That is, if they're buying apartments, in great cities, they might be a class C, a class B, maybe a class A, but predominantly class C and B buildings where they go in, they fix them up, they bump the rents, they really spruce up the landscaping and everything, and then they refi it, and ultimately that building becomes worth a lot more, and then they share the profits, with the passive investors. So if you can find some different groups of people that are passionate about what they do, they've got the right people in the right seats on the bus, they're professional, they run it like a real business and literally are able to optimize and maximize the business plan. Those are some of the folks that I think the listeners want to, work with, someone like yourself who's been in real estate for quite a while, who understands markets and trends and migration and all that market data, but also people that know that, my childhood hero was Wayne Gretzky. And he's got this great quote where he says, he skates to where the puck is going, not where the puck has been. Yes. And I find that a lot of groups are, skating where they are just to be where they are. Whereas other phenomenal groups are looking forward to, neighborhoods that are improving or places that are being rezoned or, places where maybe they're putting in new infrastructure, like a new on or off ramp to an interstate, which will make commuting even easier. So, the people that are really, really in it to win it do some of those things that really make the experience for the passive investor very lucrative. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. That was a great explanation on that as well. So especially on the different asset classes. We have all kinds of information on that as well at jarrettcapital.com if anybody wants to go and look into that in more detail. I noticed you had a quote from Wayne Gretzky there. I'm a big quote guy, and I believe you are as well.
Oh, yeah.
I guess on that topic, if you had to pick one quote, what would be your favorite quote, and why would that be your favorite quote?
Oh, Andy, you're putting me on the spot now. I have thousands and thousands of quotes that I've literally written down, and I keep notebooks of quotes, and I do Post-it notes of quotes. But some of my favorite ones.
My phone all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Screenshots of them and everything. My kids make fun of me at this stage. I have 3 beautiful boys. But I think that, when you look at some of the people that have really done some amazing things, somebody like, say, a Napoleon Hill from Think and Grow Rich,
Yes.
he says that, oftentimes, every adversity brings with it the seed of opportunity.
Sure.
And I just love when he says that, because if you think about it, as real estate investors or as business owners or as husbands or wives or, anybody, we're going to face adversity. So you got to really think, if every adversity brings with it the seed of opportunity, it means that every time we come up against a roadblock, an obstacle, there's a gift in it. There's a way to go, over it or around it or under it or through it for anybody that's defiantly committed. So, that's one of my favorite quotes, because I think that, if you're alive, you're going to have adversity in your career or in your finances, in your health, in your relationships, or Mother Nature will bring a hurricane or a tornado to certain parts. Where if you do this work, and I've been in personal growth a very, very long time, and I've literally seen what a quote can do to change my perspective, because I have a beautiful belief that every problem is a problem of perspective, and that when we, see it through a different lens or a different set of binoculars, we're able to take different action towards resolving it. So, oh my gosh, there's just so many great quotes out there, but I know you're a quote guy. What's one of your favorite quotes?
Oh boy, same. Put me on the spot here as well. Boy, if I had to think, I like Muhammad Ali. I am the greatest, because it just gives you inspiration. Every time I listen to that or hear him say that, it just motivates me to always want to do better and hopefully become one of the greats as well. So
absolutely, and it's a bit of an affirmation. An I am statement is a declaration. If you say, I am a brilliant passive investor, or I am great with money, or I love real estate and real estate loves me, any type of, incantation, affirmation, like the Muhammad Ali quote, can really engage, enroll, and inspire the human spirit. So I love that that one that you gave us. And yeah, there's just so many good ones out there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now, speaking of Napoleon Hill, this is a great segue into my next question. Think and Grow Rich is an amazing book. For those who haven't read it, you definitely need to read that. And speaking of adversity, are you a believer in the law of attraction? And if so, why do you believe in it?
Well, I'm a big believer in all of the laws of the universe, just like we believe in the law of gravity. That is, if I drop my pen, it's going to go down, sure. Right? It's a law. You can't argue that unless you're in outer space. But, the laws of the universe, like the law of attraction, the law of circulation, the law of compensation, are all laws I teach in my coaching, because I believe that if we work with the natural laws of the universe, we're able to co-create what it is that we want. So when you think about the law of attraction, to break that down for the listener, when you are looking to attract something, it all starts, number one, with the first thing that we call the law of intention, right? So if you intend to make money, or you intend to find love, or you intend to have a great holiday, or you intend to buy a real estate building, it all starts with the way you think. So we always start off with the law of intention, and we're always intending things to happen. So that's the foundation of it. So from the law of intention, it then leads to what we call the second law, known as the law of vibration, right? So the law of intention creates a vibration in our body and our cells and our brain. And then from that second law, the law of vibration, it goes to the third and final one, which is the law of frequency. Now, the law of frequency says that everything has a resonance. Everything is a bunch of vibrating packets of molecules and atoms. And so if our thoughts lead to an intention, and an intention to a vibration, and a vibration to a frequency, I, like Napoleon Hill and yourself, have a belief that we send out that frequency, out into the ether or into the air, or out to infinite intelligence. Some might call it God, some might call it spirit, some might call it space. And that, there is something that is very powerful out there that will then bring us the opportunity to, then realize whatever it is that we want. So I'll say, if you want to make money, right, and you have an intention, a vibration, a frequency, you send that out there, The universe doesn't bring you the money, but what the universe brings you is the opportunity to make the money. It might be a great, apartment building. It might be a great business partner. It might be, a certain, opportunity that you would have never found on your own if you didn't really sit down and get clear on what you want, because it also works with what you don't want. And unfortunately, most people in, America today during a pandemic are going, God, I don't want to be fat, and I don't want to be broke, and I don't want to be lonely. So all their brain is hearing and all they're getting into the vibration of frequency in is broke, fat, and lonely. Well, I wouldn't sign up for that class. I'd sign up to focus on what you do want, because you will attract that, which you put your energy or your intention on.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I told everybody to make sure they had a pad and pen and paper, and I've got mine up here and taking notes as well. This is amazing content. So
thank you.
Thank you for coming on. Yeah. So that brings me to another quote I just read the other day. They say, the mind is the battleground. Everything is, within your mind. You can, if you think about riches, you will become rich. If you think, poorly, you will become poor. So totally agree with that. And the law of attraction as well. So going into that, do you have any daily habits that you personally do that you think help make you success and raise your vibration and get you into that frequency?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's no question about it that, high achievers will do things, that other people won't get up in the morning and do. So for me, and to be completely transparent, I get up at 4:44 every morning, and that's 7 days a week. I don't sleep in on Saturday and Sunday. I just have this belief and identity that I'm going to get up and condition my mind and condition my body for success. So some of the things that I do is when I get up, I'll have a glass of water, I'll use the restroom, and then I'll sit down and I'll meditate for 10, 15, 20 minutes. That could be a silent meditation. That could be, an app on my iPhone. It could be anything that literally gets my brain waves activated first thing in the morning with, what I call gratitude, because gratitude is the ultimate state of receivership. So the more you set up your mind for success in the morning, with meditation, or maybe you do a little bit of journaling, because I'll do some of that. Maybe I'll watch some Tony Robbins clips on YouTube. Maybe I'll, look at my vision board or watch my mind movie. All of those condition my neural networks to fire and really have an idea of what I really, really, really want to achieve. And then from that mental rehearsal, I'll go and I'll do a workout on my treadmill, my elliptical. I've got some weights or stretch bands that I'll do where I'll condition my body. So really for about an hour, 15 minutes every morning, I'm conditioning my mind and conditioning my body for success, so that when I sit down at my desk and start doing real estate deals or, coaching my clients all over this beautiful planet, I'm absolutely ready to rock the show. And again, I do that all day, every day, because again, it's my passion. Does that make sense?
It sure does. And I agree. I mean, as you know, about 5 months ago, I was, 230 pounds, not very active. I'm down to 186 now. And boy, what a difference. You feel it every day, going to the gym, working out. It's just incredible. It gives you the energy to really take the day on.
It really does. And huge props to you and congratulations. And I'm telling you, nothing tastes as good as feeling fit, vital, and healthy. True or true?
Oh, extremely true. Yeah, we have it on our fridge. Nothing tastes as good as skinny feels.
That's it. I love it. And yeah, I think that's a huge, piece that if a real estate investor is listening to the show, if we're the people that put on the weight, could we be the same people that take off the weight, right?
Yeah.
And for the real estate person, if we're the same person that maybe hasn't been investing passively in real estate, are we the same people that can choose or decide to invest passively in real estate? Because you're right. At the end of the day, it comes back to that quote that everything is a choice. Everything is a decision. And if you look up the Latin root, Andy, of the word decision, it means to deduce or to cut off or to decide. And I think today there's never been a better time for a passive investor to find somebody like you or some of the groups that, I invest with, to really go out there and optimize and maximize, how money can be made in this lifetime. Because if you really think about it, if you go back hundreds or even thousands of years, the greatest kings and queens on the planet were trying to amass land. They were trying to conquer territories because they knew that that was the path to more riches, right?
Yep.
But in addition to, doing real estate today to, pad your bank account or make mailbox money or become rich, we got to also remember that, you and I are doing great things for tenants, improving their buildings, giving them better living quarters, creating playgrounds and dog parks on the property and fences, and it's a little bit more safe and secure. So I always say that where there's impact, there's income. So for anyone that's listening, if you're out there and you can make an impact, I guarantee that there's income on the other side of it.
That's great. Great points. Love it.
Yeah.
Now, as an investor yourself, what would be, I guess, your worst moment as an investor on the passive side? Have you had an experience like that?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't think you can achieve phenomenal levels of success without having some hiccups or some failures. And again, there was one investment where I literally jumped in way too soon and I didn't do my due diligence to find out about, who the party was and what their skill set was and, what they wanted to do with the money. And I literally put in $50K into it. And then they said, oh my God, this is going to be a juicy deal. Would you consider putting in another 25 or 50? So I went and I put in another 50 for a total of 100. And let's just say that deal didn't go as well as planned. I mean, it wasn't a disaster, but like I said, all deals are not created equal and all partnerships are not created equal. So, I think that, sometimes the universe hands us what I call a money lesson. And that was definitely a money lesson for me. And what's great about that is I learned it on 100 grand instead of maybe investing 200 with somebody and then getting the lesson, or 500 and getting the lesson, because that would be a kick in the teeth.
Oh, absolutely. I went through a similar thing in my early 20s, and looking back at it, I'm actually grateful that it happened then instead of now, because it could have been much worse, than it was at the time. So great point. So we're getting close here. What would be one takeaway that you would want our audience to absorb from this show, if you could pick one?
Well, again, I've said it a couple times now that I believe real estate is the greatest wealth vehicle on the planet, unless, let's say, you go and invent a Facebook or a WhatsApp, or, you start Apple or something. But, for the average person that's not going to start their own, multi-billion-dollar company, you really got to ask, if you look around with anyone that has money, I guarantee that 95% of them are doing something related to real estate. They might be doing lending, they might be buying, they might be rehabbing, they might be, supporting someone's outcome somewhere. But again, people need a place to live. And I think it's definitely even strengthened my belief that, real estate investing is recession proof, because in good times and in bad times, like I said, prior to the pandemic and now, a year and a couple of months into the pandemic, people are still making money in real estate. People are still giving tenants a better experience. People are still giving, passive investors outstanding double-digit returns.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Versus leaving your money in the bank or throwing it in the stock market, which is a bit of a gamble, because I've always said that what goes up must come down.
Absolutely.
So I'm a big believer that the listener can absolutely get their outcome through passive investing.
Yep. Totally agree. Real estate is, I think, I don't remember the exact percentage, but it's, 70% of millionaires have, built their wealth on real estate.
Yeah.
Far more majority than any other asset class.
Yes.
And, you have more control with real estate. With the stocks, you really don't have any backstop, at least with property. You have fire insurance, if anything happens, liability insurance, where you don't have that with the stock market. You can wake up one day and your money is gone. So totally agree. So last question. If you could step into my shoes for the show, what would you ask yourself that I didn't?
Well, I think you have to ask yourself, where do you want to be 5 or 10 years down the road? Because here's the truth. Time waits for no one. We've been in this pandemic now for roughly, at the time of we're recording this, let's say 14 months. And you know what? Another month, 2, 3, 5, 10, 12 is going to go by. And then we're going to be 2 years, down the road, and then 3, and then 4, then 5. So what I like to do with clients, and as a high performance real estate coach, I like to start with the end in mind, right? And the end in mind might be, well, what are your short-term goals? That could be anything from now to, say, a year from now. What are your long-term goals? And a long-term goal for me is anything between year 1 and year 5.
Mm-hmm.
And then anything past 5 years, Andy, is what I call your vision for your business and your life.
Yeah.
So I would literally invite the listener and the viewer to get clear on what they want to achieve in the next year, what they want to achieve in the next 5 years, and then what do they want to achieve in the next 10, 15, or 20 years, and then start to reverse engineer what do you need to do to start making progress towards those outcomes. Because I'm telling you, that's where the game of life and business is won. It's literally knowing where you are, knowing where you want to go, and then closing that gap to get you from where you are to, truly where you want to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did that on one of our calls, and boy, what an eye opener it was. To map it out. And they say most people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in a decade. So,
yep.
Definitely when you put it on paper and look at it, it's an eye opener for sure.
It really is. And again, I'm a big believer at this stage of my life that, if there's one thing we all have is the same amount of hours in a day or the same amount of hours in a week.
Mm-hmm.
And, Elon Musk doesn't have more time than Andrew Jarrett, and Andrew doesn't have more time than Trevor McGregor. So you've got to ask yourself, what am I doing with that time? And am I doing the high impact, high income activities? Am I spending time going to the gym? Am I, spending time with my loved ones and my family? Or am I, going and even through the pandemic, am I, setting myself up for travel? Because I know you love to travel and so do we. So does that make sense?
It sure does. Yep, absolutely. And Arnold Schwarzenegger, another great quote is, he was giving a speech and somebody said, well, I like to sleep 8 hours a day. He said, well, my suggestion is just sleep a little faster.
Yeah, that's it. I love that.
So, well, before we get into our 5 to Thrive here, which is an excellent part of our show, where can somebody, if they want to learn more about you or reach out to you, how can they contact you?
Well, first off, thank you for having me on again. And for anyone that's defiantly committed to success, right? And I mean defiantly committed, because I don't work with dabblers. And that's why I love working with you, because you're far from a dabbler. I mean, you're spectacular. They're welcome to check out my website. You can go to www.trevormcgregor.com. That's TrevorMcGregor, trevormcgregor.com. You can learn a little bit more about who I am and what I do and what I help people with. And if you want to reach out, there's an opportunity to book a session there for free. It's a no obligation session just to find out a little bit more about each other. And if I can help you, close that gap that I talked about, I'll show you how. And if not, I think people will come away with some spectacular value as well.
Oh, absolutely. I would highly recommend, everybody do that. So now we're getting into the 5 for Thrive part of the show. This is where I'm just gonna, rapid fire basically, 5 words to you, and it's a word association game. So just give me back a word or a phrase that comes to mind, and you cannot repeat the same answer twice.
All right. Well, that's exciting. Let's do this. Let's do it.
So first one is money.
Freedom.
Good. Growth.
Constant.
Ooh, that's good. I like that. Fear.
An invitation for courage.
Wow. I've never heard that one before. I like that.
Yeah, people might want to write that down. Fear is truly an invitation to access courage.
I told you guys, get a pad of paper out. Freedom.
Travel.
Yes. And last, your legacy.
My children, my family, and all of the beautiful clients that I've been blessed to touch and be able to work with all over this beautiful blue planet.
Great. Excellent answers. Well, thanks so much, Trevor. I really appreciate you coming on the show, and it's been lot of golden bars. I better grab a wheelbarrow here to take them away. So
yes. Well, again, thank you for having me on, and a huge shout out to you for the spectacular job you're doing with the podcast. I know that your listeners are getting tremendous value from it. I know that they're going to be able to, potentially invest with you and some of the other projects that you're cooking up. And people would do very, very well to stay, well tuned to your podcast and well connected to you.
I appreciate that. Thanks so much, Trevor.
All right. Enjoy your day.
You too. Take care.